Humanities Community Project Part 1, Section 1, Question 1. Describe the geography of Greece. Greece is located in southeastern Europe, and it consists of a large section of mainland and a large archipelago of multiple islands. It is also surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea, which allows for a large trade network. Greece is the birthplace of Western philosophy, literature, mathematics, history, drama, the Olympics, and democracy. Question 2. Describe Cycladic Greek civilization. It is a civilization spanning from 3200 BCE to 1100 BCE, and it was focused in the islands of the Aegean Sea. The people lived in finished stone houses, and they survived off of fishing and trade, and there was a steady development of art and architecture. It is divided into 3 periods: early Cycladic, middle Cycladic, and late Cycladic. Question 3. Describe Minoan civilization. It originated in 2700 BC to 1500 BCE, and it was part of the last 2 stages of the Cycladic civilizations. They had a lot of power due to their location in the Mediterranean, with their homeland on the island of Crete. They had a large trade network and their own written language, Linear. They had advanced technology and building techniques, and they had well-developed arts and sciences. Question 4. Describe the snake goddess of Minoan civilization. It is possibly an early version of the Greek goddess Eurynome, and she was the supreme deity of the civilization. She wields double axes, and this symbolizes her power and importance. Describe the bull mythology in Knossos civilization. The civilization was discovered in 1900 CE by Sir Arthur Evans. The Knossos had a sport known as bull jumping, where a male participant would jump over the horns of a bull, possibly creating the mythological creature, the Minotaur. Question 6. Describe the collapse of Minoan civilization. It was likely caused due to the overuse of land, which caused irreparable damage. The Mycenaean conquest and the volcanic eruption at Thera, which caused a tsunami that destroyed Crete, also were major aspects in the collapse of the Minoan civilization. It possibly inspired the myth of the city of Atlantis. Question 7. Describe Mycenaean civilization. The Mycenaean civilization is considered to be the first real part of Greek culture. They constructed fortified palaces. They developed a unique writing system known as Linear B. They practiced a religion that combined earth goddesses along with sky gods, and this created the basis for the Greek pantheon. They used very valuable goods in the burial of their societal members, and they were known from Homer's Iliad. Question 8. Describe the Archaic period. It was characterized by a population boom which caused the rise of polis or city-states. A Greek alphabet was developed, which is considered to be the earliest literature that has ever been written. Monumental sculptures were constructed, and there was a rise in the creation of red figure pottery. Athens created early democracy, and this period laid the foundation for classical Greece. Question 9. Describe the development of the polis. A polis is an independent city-state with its own government and army. A polis has a shared language and religion, but there are usually conflicts between different regions and languages. It is made up of united villages to increase defense and trade. Polises are the foundation of Greek political and cultural identity. Question 10. Describe the Age of Tyranny. The Age of Tyranny is a period where tyrants seize control of city-states. Tyrants gain the majority of their support by opposing aristocrats. The period introduced reforms, stability, and public projects throughout the land. The tyrannical system was eventually replaced by organized governments such as democracies. Question 11. Describe the Homeric question. The question is, was Homer a real poet or just a name for oral tradition? There are major concerns over whether or not Homer was actually the author of the Iliad and the Odyssey. Homer possibly could have composed oral tales into a form of written literature, and his works were formatted in the style of Greek cultural identity. Question 12. Describe archaic Greek sculptures. Important statues were Chorus and Kore. Their sculptures were heavily influenced by Egyptian art due to its rigid, frontal, and idealized appearances. Over time, the sculptures became more naturalistic following the advancements or changes in the art style. The sculptures were commonly used as grave markers, temple offerings, and a physical representation of Greek gods. Question 13. Describe classical Greece. Classical Greece emerged after the Persian Wars. It contained the Golden Age, a period of democracy, philosophy, drama, and historical writing. Art flourished and evolved, enhancing balance, proportion, and naturalism. and the period ended when Alexander the Great rose to power. Question 14. Describe the rise of the city-states. It all began with the unification of villages into independent political units. Two major examples of this is Athens becoming a democracy and Sparta becoming a military oligarchy. The city-states shared Greek identity, but there was constantly cultural and stylistic tension. They helped shape politics, culture, and military life. Question 15. Describe the Greco-Persian Wars. The Greco-Persian Wars began with the Ionian Revolt. These are the major battles of the war. Marathon in 490 BCE, which resulted in Athens defeating the Persians, Thermopylae in 480 BCE, which resulted in the Spartan standoff, and Salamis in 480 BCE, which resulted in a Greek naval victory. Due to the victories of the Greeks, they gained independence, which led to the beginning of the Golden Age. Question 16. Describe Athenian democracy and the two most significant influencers. They had a form of direct democracy in which male citizens vote directly. The first major influencer, named Cleanthes, circa 508 BCE, and he recognized society into dems, which, along with creating the Council of 500, he is also known as the father of democracy. The second major influencer is Pericles, circa 495 to 429 BCE, and he expanded democracy, paid officials, promoted arts, and he oversaw the construction of the Parthenon. Athenian democracy still excluded women, slaves, and foreigners from all government actions. Question 17. Describe the Parthenon and 5th century political institutions. The Parthenon was a temple constructed to praise the goddess Athena. The building was a symbol of Athenian pride, and it is a shining example of classical Greek architecture. Here is a list of the political institutions. Assembly, Ecclesia. Here, all citizens voted on laws or wars. The Council of 500, Bull. Here, daily administration was held. And courts, or dicasteria. Here, trials were held accompanied by citizen juries. This formed the foundation of Western democracy. Section 2. Question 1. Describe Sappho. Sappho was a Greek poet from the island of Lesbos, and she was born sometime around 610 to 570 BCE. She wrote poetry that was not intended to be read, but rather sung and accompanied by instruments. She used a lot of emotional intensity in her works, usually revolving around the topic of love. Sadly, the majority of her works have been lost to time, so all that we know about her is only from the little amount of information that we have found. Question 2. Describe the style of decoration of vases. The decoration of vases changed throughout time. It began with simple geometric patterns such as lines, shapes, and motifs. Then the art started to include figures such as animals or humans, along with depictions of mythological scenes. These designs always took up the entire space, leaving no space without detailed work. B. List the two types of vase color painting. Black figure painting is where black or very dark silhouettes are painted onto a red clay surface. Red figure painting is where a background is painted onto a red clay surface, leaving the silhouette as the blank spaces of red clay. C. Describe naturalism. Naturalism is a type of style in art where objects or beings are meant to resemble their real-life counterparts. Bodily proportions are more accurate, movement is fluid, and motion and anatomy are visually correct. Question 3. A. The building program began with the Parthenon. B. The temple's construction and sculptural decorations had its basic form the pediment and lintel. C. A vertical column and the horizontal beam called the entablature. D. Square block capital. E. Deep grooves called flutes. F. An enclosed room or cella. G. The three classical orders were the Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. Question 4. A. Propyea. B. Erechthionia, and C. Monument of Agrippa. 5. A. Proportion. B. Movement. 6. Tragedy. This dealt with serious topics, usually involving a series of unfortunate or bad events leading to the downfall of the protagonist. And comedy. This is a light-hearted form of theater meant to induce humor in the audience. Question 7. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Question 8. The Hellenistic Age is a period of time roughly between 323 BCE and 30 BCE, from the time of Alexander the Great's death to the fall of the last independent Hellenistic kingdom. It is known as a period of Greek cultural expansion where art, philosophy, science, and other cultural aspects spread all across Asia Minor, Greece, and other parts of Africa. Question 9. 1. Zeus, king of the gods. 2. Hera, queen of the gods and goddess of marriage. 3. Poseidon, god of the sea. 4. Demeter, goddess of agriculture. 5. Athena, goddess of war and wisdom. 6. Apollo, god of the sun, music, and prophecy. 7. Artemis, goddess of the hunt and the moon. 8. Ares, goddess of war. 8. Ares, god of war. 9. Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty. 10. Hephaestus, god of fire and blacksmiths. 11. Hermes, messenger of the gods and god of commerce and travel. And 12. Dionysus, god of wine, festivity, and theater.